Darnell's talking about. So, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I can't have your attention for a second. Okay, so in objective 2, we have a lot of different activities. Okay, so we have the farmer-to-farmer network. We have a lot of the modeling efforts, the predictive modeling tools are under objective 2. The development of the chrono stations is under objective 2. Some of the economic analysis falls under objective 2. So we had devoted this time to have a discussion, but I'm not exactly sure at which point in those activities to jump in. So I guess let me kind of get a little bit of feedback from the room based on what you've heard this morning and yesterday. As you think about, mostly I want this to kind of be like a little bit forward looking. Based on what you're hearing, what are you interested in doing, or what do you think we should be prioritizing for year 4 of this project? And maybe you can look ahead to year 5, because there's what we wrote in the proposal, but we learn as we go. Hopefully we know more now than we did when we wrote that proposal 4 years ago. So I guess on your mind, what are you hearing as or thinking about as some of the priority issues that we really need to address in the research? So could somebody just throw some topics out there for us? What's on your mind as sort of pressing or priority issues to address?
Tyson, you might also have to just repeat it into the mic, so that way there is. Thank you.
All right, so I guess a little bit of repeat from yesterday, but I guess two things I've heard. One is this cover crop dilemma, and we know potentially that cover crops are good for erosion, potentially moisture control, but then too bad. So like either cover crop type or then this issue of when to terminate, and it's more kind of like the nitrogen, where we can have a predictive model or projection of what the probability of rainfall would be. I don't know if it's doable or not. We are kind of projecting out wheat growth, so why can't we just transfer that to a cover crop from a winter to the summer?
Yeah.
But that would be one. The other is that, well, my area, I know Brian, but this nitrogen dilemma and how to manage nitrogen highly variable climate.
All right, so yeah, two key topics there. If cover crops, how to manage them, and which species and how to manage them, if folks are going to do that, and then the nitrogen management and its interaction with the weather variability. At this time, I will say, I don't know if any of the folks in Zoom land are welcome to participate at this point. So if somebody's online on Zoom there and wants to weigh in, you are also welcome to weigh in at this point. So, okay, other topics, yeah, Roger. Yep. Yeah.
What is the cost benefit? Is there, we know there's cost to know there's benefit, but we need an analysis of that in our own mind.
Yeah.
Every guy has a different
Yes.
method to do that, and it has a different take on it.
Yeah.
And I don't have a clue what the answer is, but
Yes.
at the point of study, that could, we might incorporate that into.
Yeah.
So there's an economic and and that's the point, yes. And that's also changes with time, because some of the Midwest, cover crop work showed that the first 3 years it wasn't effective. I wasn't economic, but then there was it flipped after year 4 and 5, and then so things change.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying about.
So and this is a great point, and this is one thing where you know, our modeling group, we don't have those folks represented here in the room, but the modeling tools that they use, one valuable feature of those tools is that they can account for the longer term effects. Like if we're doing some management, cover crop or otherwise, that's resulting in, you know, cumulative erosion over time, or maybe it's resulting in a buildup of organic matter. The models actually account for that over years and how that might, you know, pencil out in terms of a cost benefit. But yeah, so there could be, I think there's definitely some research that could be done to kind of link up some of that longer term modeling of how is this practice changing the soil, and then what is the cost benefit of that over, you know, a longer time horizon, a 10-year time horizon or more. Because we can see the cost. Oh, I know it cost me, you know, 5 bushels, 10 bushels yield this year, or it cost me this much for the seed or this much for the fertilizer. But those longer term costs are a lot harder to pencil out, and some of the modeling may help us address that. Curtis, I hope I'm not putting you on the spot there, but yeah. Yeah.
You could prove this in your life. You could prove that those things are happening. Tell the farmer this is going to prove your goal, so forth.
Yeah.
If you prove that over time, that has to be a value.
Yeah. Yeah. The sort of those online, the comments here are that, you know, just the importance of being able to sort of predict how the soil itself may change over time under given management. And if we can prove those and verify those soil improvements over the long term, then that could be really valuable to the farmers. This is a USDA project, yeah.
USDA right now is really struggling with this concept.
Ziploc in the cold.
Yeah.
And it was paying $53 an acre.
Mhm.
And I have been advocating to the that's not enough. If you're really going to incentivize farmers to do this, you're going to have to do more than $53 an acre.
Mm.
It's going to have to be more like $100 an acre, and still not enough. Yeah, still not enough. But there are so many people advocating for this practice that
Yeah.
that's the best they have to get. I mean, you really want that. I mean, when you look at the statistics, in the corn belt, it's only 15%.
Yeah.
Only 15% of the corn acres are utilizing. That's right.
Yeah.
That's not even acres. So what I'm saying is that we USDA needs to understand this.
Yeah, it's a good point. And I'd be curious to know, where do we stand now on cotton acres in Oklahoma? What percent of those are now using a cover crop? Because it's gone up, you know, just by my perception, but I don't know how high it is yet. Yeah.
Do you know what the total no-till acres in Oklahoma? Or I mean percentage
I don't know, Josh, Brian.
That number has committed to the last 2 years.
It's going down, it's going the other way. Yeah. Yeah. And so that was another theme from yesterday. So just to get that back in the mix here, the fact that, I don't know if you're seeing this in Kansas yet, but it's pretty evident across Oklahoma, people are having to revert to tillage now because of weed pressure. Folks that have been committed no-tillers for a long time. Are you seeing, Ignacio, y'all seeing that in Kansas as well?
Yeah.
Well, this like, relates to what you said. I don't remember this may not be the right group, but the question is, anybody looking at the question of what if we lose access to some of our key herbicides, right? Right now, like I said, it's in the process. And in my opinion, in a decade, it will not be used. I think the rise is more than that, and that's about 1 year probably. We can correlate with that, the effects of Oklahoma, and then to a certain extent. But the EPA is now going through every single registration of the Environmental Species Act. Directly affected Oklahoma, especially in this area of 7 months for basically half Oklahoma. But anyway, I just want to know if anybody in this looking at what tools are the drought crops and wines.
Yeah.
So that's the question. Think about looking at that landscape.
Yeah, I don't know. But
Not directly with the project I'm aware of, but I mean, the lead group that they, you know, girls on stage.
That's a great question. What we going to cover crop?
But yeah.
yeah. So sorry, just for those on the Zoom, I don't know if you can hear the comments. So the conversation now is about what happens if we lose some of these chemicals that we rely on due to regulatory changes. So if we lose glyphosate, for example, and how would that impact our management, our ability to do cover crops? Ignacio?
We can do that. The challenge is with the
Yeah, the problem with termination date, this year depends for what I collect this year, or different next year, or different 30 years. Because it's not really that weather ability. So you need really, I think, study what they have for termination. I mean, I don't want to do that.
For example, like we have already influence or they are probably make sure to see what type of data is because it's why the data to be revised
Well, we need.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, okay. Yes, a good point. So Ignacio is making the point for those on Zoom that, you know, to really answer some of these questions regarding cover crops, we need good experimental data sets that encompass not only the how did the cover crop affect the yield of the subsequent crop, but we need to know the effects on soil moisture, soil nitrogen levels, the stand of the subsequent crop, the amount of biomass in the cover crop. We need these complete data sets to be able to model these things appropriately. And we don't have a lot of those data sets for our region, I don't think.
I don't know.
Maybe we do.
Maybe you could put someone to do it, that's,
Yeah.
and go through the pieces, these patients, because, we don't, we do more research than we have.
Yeah.
So, if you go out and micro and find that there might be, there are these patients out there that you might just grab information and use. If you are thinking about running studies, that's important, and it will take us 10 years. If you want to less realistic, 5 years, something like to run that type of, even if you think about what type of crops, winter, summer, the combination, one or two species, multiple species, Italian factorial is complexity and then it's another approach. Just to
Yeah.
what kind of crop, how do you do it, what manner, when. But
Yes.
the questions are to have any idea to get someone to task and look at it. And then we like a synthesis to say when good quality.
Yeah. You know, the Paul DeLon at Vernon has been doing a lot of those studies recently. Some of one of the larger data sets from our region recently. Yeah. Yeah. To synthesize it, yes. There's a comment here on the chat from Luana. She says, you know, perhaps more information on the quality of the residue as well produced by the different cover crop species, carbon nitrogen ratios, et cetera. So one thing that one, you know, I think that the cover crop one is certainly there's more research to be done there, but you can hear for a lot of good reasons, you know, the questions and the hesitation that the producers have on, you know, doing that. Well, one thing that is sort of more obvious in a decision that they're going to have to make every year are all the fertility decisions. I mean, so that's, I don't want to say that's a low hanging fruit, but it's it's one we can all buy in on in terms of being able to somehow better account for the weather variability and make better, you know, input decisions mid-season. So what question I had follow up to Brian's presentation is, to what degree do we improve our ability to recommend the optimum nitrogen rate as we get later in the season? You know, can we have a way is there a way we can quantify that? Intuitively, if I wait later in the season, I should be able to give a better guess on the nitrogen rate, but do we have data to quantify that?
So I would say in a way we do and we don't. Depends on your methodology to quantify. So if you're running the model, let's say running the DAP in, you can go back and look at in-rate rates and think, okay, if we implemented a DAP in pre-plant versus NC, same thing with green seeker, we could say NDVI's ability to predict yield and nitrogen rate. We at least no mistake in Kansas hidden in some of your data. Hidden some of the data that Nickel had. We have a lot of end rates and timing studies and OPV conferences with and stuff. And so we have old data sets that we can look at some of that stuff depending on what data is needed. So the old NUE stuff, we have a lot of NDI data, maybe some red edge data, and that end rate in time. So yeah, you can go to that. I would say it's not solely focused on rate. The concept of rate is we're gonna change rate in an agitator by 7 to 10 pounds maybe. And so our adjustments are fairly coarse on the rate. You're going to do an applicator on the go, you get 1 pound incremental rate. And your error around the 7 pound incremental rate running in speed, depending on how many parishes is 5 to 15 is variable. We have other aspects, that's kind of why I put that up there. Source, we have all the aspects of the fork, not just rate, it's the source of placement and timing goes in. I think we can do some stuff with timing and placement that would improve the efficiency. The fact if we go from a 0.25 efficiency to 0.45 efficiency, that's a significant leverage, and we don't necessarily have to have a rate.
Well, actually, the fraud, I checked it from the US again, this project was increase in I can do something.
And maybe another way to look at it, not to remain in this, what I tell my guys is, let's not even worry about what the rate is. I want over time, I want to shift from a 1.2 pounds per bushel output, not what I fertilize for, but I look at my in and out ratio, and I want to bring that ratio of pounds in to pounds out closer to 1 to 1 as possible. I want wheat to be 1.4, 1.5. I want corn to be a 0.7, 0.8. And how can we shift it to pound into that? And now that leads directly to the carbon market or whatever we want, because now we have a documented change in nitrogen, documented change in nitrogen. Much better than any carbon sequestration ever.
Good. And I would argue don't do that, because the only way you can do that is by depleting your soil.
You're right. Zero gives you the best number.
Yeah, right. You're right. Yeah.
Gives you the best number. I mean,
Good.
while maintaining-
Yeah.
Equal yield as we bring down
Yeah. Good.
Now, if quoting what Brad was saying, that what timing is something that we never really discussed. PRN, what we were going to look at how far can we express it, rather than just applying all the elements. I have some situation.
Yeah.
You guys, we can express all the way on that week, that's easy.
Yeah.
Basically, you can be more precise. Every time we say the fertilization depends on the weather, which is true. You have data on corn, for example, a study showing that in one location, 4 years of it, 4 years, the optimal rate of fertilization corn changes from 100 pounds to 200.
Yes. Yeah. That much variability.
You go to a farmer and you say, well, I have more working well, yeah, quality better quality. And you say, the optimal rate is 150. It's impossible. You know that
No.
and we know that
Yeah.
the error on saying that is
Yes.
probably 100 pounds.
Yeah.
So we know that the amount of action is coming from the soil. But so, as we get closer to the end time, I feel that that is very, as we grow many times, we never chase it because it seems to be common. But it's the only way that we can start getting ourselves closer to that better efficiency of fertilization. You apply natural system, components like efficiency 0.2, 0.3, and again is 0.6.
And we're using pre-plant, we're going to be on the very first side, we're going to get 95 percentile, so that rate brings 100 to 220, so we're on like 195 percentile.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah.
perfect crop, because you can drive over it any time, right? Corn, you can't.
What about the short stack? I mean, we have a short stack corn right now.
Well, yeah, when that happens, but, you know,
It's happening.
well, yeah.
But I'm saying that the importance of planning is very important. We never had too much discussions, but I mean, I was in France a month ago, and when I talked to this, the industry research farmers work with it. Of course, they are big push by the government, so why because we need to have the regulated market. but they're gonna apply an action form. And after, the going system is extracted that hours.
Yeah.
And the way that they do is they do expanding, like,
Yeah.
when they say that, I was that if it's kept together, I say expanding.
Yeah.
So they look at the action that and they decide when to trigger based on the moment that you're in two higher. Now, one will cover any power.
Yeah.
But they try to create as much as possible because they know they have an increase in efficiency. And they have more possibilities, and at least they know what the weather, what to expect. So they see the weather for the next 2 weeks close to flowering, and they say, we'll get some rain. And if you have some problem with rain, how will I plan it? I don't have no to rain. How will I plan it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so this is a good discussion, and I think kind of reinforces, one of the thrusts of the project is that there's really an opportunity to move forward on our nitrogen management if we can better account for the uncertainty in the weather and those forecasts. And so that's where, getting this group together, especially interacting with our modeling team, so that we can start to do that in a quantitative way. I mean, let's just be honest, soil fertility as a discipline has not been in their bandwidth to do that. We've got to get that modeling team in here interacting to be able to say, hey, here's how we bring in weather forecast. Here's how we quantitatively account for uncertainty and make probabilistic risk-based decisions. And so I think we can move forward on that. We got a few minutes left here, and I want to shift the discussion a little bit, okay, and talk about how we get some wind. We're getting a lot of, I think, wins, and the wins are accumulating on the project. Chuck started off talking about those at the beginning of the meeting. Here's maybe a small win. So last year, the first 2 years, we couldn't even have annual meetings because of COVID. Last year was a win to have our first annual meeting. We had one of our cooperating producers there. Okay, so this year we've got 3. So that's a win. We're up 300% increase. Okay. But I mean, the goal of this thing is to grow this as like a legitimate, network connecting some of the innovative farmers in the region. So what do we do so that next year we have at least 9? Like, let's get another 300% increase here. So like, just, where we meet and the timing. I think Brent mentioned yesterday, this timing was perfect for you. I guess that's, why you're here. But like, how do we keep growing our interaction with the farmers? Because we really need that, and that's critical. So I'd love to hear anybody's thoughts on that.
We need to think about
Yeah,
the farmers.
incentivize it. So tell them they can bring their wife and yeah.
You guys have any of your friends
I don't know what that. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
They have not forgotten. So I mean, between Peter and that, there, before, I don't know, but it hasn't been really involved yet. And one of the chances is that is sometimes the way we see. I just didn't know if you're saying one more.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, take advantage of it. Yeah. Yeah. Let's check it out.
Something like you say, you say, employment today. It's already a sure.
I mean, time of year, this is great, because our youth students, and they're finishing the project, so they have to do it. That's why it's taking time. To go a week later, when they're finishing up, and it's like, trying to schedule what so this is actually, I think, farming wise, this is probably the lowest activity time of year, except for you guys have regular irrigating, but wheat harvest is done, you know, corn harvest is a month away. So, planting's done, so it's kind of the lowest level of activity. The one, if you're thinking Tyson, maybe we have, you know, a day and a half of science, and then they got day or day farming. But the other thing is that once we get going on this farming network, we'll have to deal with it. You got to talk to the guys about it. Have those deal with it.
Okay. Yeah, your feedback on the research, and really, to me, the key is, you know, and I think we're getting there, but, you know, to really get to the point where the farmers that we're working with are helping to set the priorities and direction for the research, instead of it just coming out of the universities or the funding agencies, because as we've heard several times, it can be frustrating to, you know, you always get folks from, you know, DC or whatever that are saying, okay, here's what you need to really do. And it would be nice to kind of at least be equal partners in setting the direction and the priorities. So hopefully, so I guess for our producers here, think about other farmers that you know that you think you'd like to get involved in this discussion. And helping to shape this research, because what I know from my own personal experience is I'll still be thinking about these conversations, you know, over the next few days, and it'll affect in some way what we do moving forward. If we don't reach some concrete decisions, you know, by 3 o'clock this afternoon, it doesn't mean it's still going to have its effect by being in the room together and interacting with each other and kind of sharing those ideas. So I've got an idea that we start a break here pretty soon, but any things that you really want to get on the table before we do that? Yeah, please do. Yes.
What happens when we can no longer use these fertilizers? It's like your own teacher. It's like the cost will go very high, or it will not be able to use them, and what will the next? And I think that designing a system that can, I know I can look at ideas, but like just ask different questions on how to tackle that, not so what will depend on these external factors that are limited year by year, and the environment is changing and like all of these, we go to talking environment, discussion between talent now, because I think that was by the time, right, of course, technology is increasing, and we may be able to have a probability idea of what may happen, but we need we're discussing a very different format of thinking and not so long. How do we come up with it?
Yeah.
This is all a long-term effect of what we're saying, because sustainability is when we are in the brain and knowledge is anything that can last for a time. And we can see this time is a very important factor when we're considering these positions of external policies.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for the comment. And it's a good reminder that this project is about research, extension education, and on the research side of that, it's okay. Matter of fact, it's better than okay. It's great to think outside the box, to think of some non-traditional kind of approaches and some different ways of thinking. And very often, sometimes it's gonna be our students, our younger, our REUs or our students that are gonna bring those new ideas and a different way of seeing things. And I just want to say that's super valuable. So I really appreciate that comment. We do have to stay open to thinking about things from a different perspective, because we can get a little bit trapped in, well, I tried that and it didn't work, and this won't work for that reason, and just in our sort of mindsets we want to operate. So absolutely, we got to stay open to keep thinking creatively. Maybe it's something we haven't even considered yet. So
That's the one thing that I feel a lot. Particularly in the area I live in, folks out there, there's a lot of money in plumbing.
yes,
Very shallow hospital.
yes,
So the discussion is always, farmers, it's always, well, I think it's about time to put this before the grass.
yeah,
I see a lot of it.
yes,
There is a lot more back to that. And to the point, that it is kind of, it becomes too difficult, what happens. They put it to grass and it becomes a lot. Or in the eighties, they came up with CLP and our county had 30,000 acres for the CLP. And so some more stuff,
yeah,
sometimes farmers, hey, you get right, you don't go to the challenge price.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, it's hard.
yeah,
It's risky.
Yeah.
It's absolutely- it's so much money.
Yeah.
All in line.
yeah, yeah,
And so at some point you say, okay, well, I'm just gonna put this
yeah,
install, okay, install.
yeah. Mhm.
So, and there are a group of people in the United States, there's a many life written about Buffalo economy.
Yeah.
Many people.
Yeah.
In the policy making circles, these people believe that our part of the world will never be gone. Because it's so low down. So this is a dynamic that we dealt with. Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
They moved down and put maybe on every 40 section in some higher, but that is on every 80 acres. And that's.
Yeah.
And they're abandoned.
Yeah.
And so this is the other one, still about cause environmental pressure, health issues, because we all walk through the oxidating the system. This is a,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
it's always a possibility to go back like this.
Yeah. That's right. And even those decisions, are there, because now those decisions are made case by case, field by field, but we know from an ecology standpoint, that scale matters and the arrangement matters. And so maybe there's some smarter ways for a group, a community to get together and try to kind of make those decisions in a way that's going to be good for the region. So.
This seems wrestling.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the other thing.
Yeah.
If you want to sustain structure, Southwest Oklahoma, you have to have food structure.
Yeah.
And you can't lose, the infrastructure cannot survive. Part of them is survive because of traffic. But the infrastructure will die.
Yeah.
See, they have to have food.
Yeah.
And if you have these things implemented in.
Yeah.
So, you have all these things that are part of this dynamic sustainability.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's great. And Roger and I have discussed this in my other life, I help run another project called the Rural Renewal Initiative. And that's where you really start to address all these other factors beyond just agriculture that are critical to these rural communities, these rural people in these rural places. It starts to be about infrastructure and how you maintain it. It starts to be about schools and how you keep a viable school, because, at some point you don't have viable schools, you're not going to have viable farms. And so sustainability then starts to take on a whole lot broader dimensions than even what we've discussed in this room. And I just want to say, man, I think this project is, and I hope it always will be, a place where it's safe and it's actually encouraged to think about those big picture issues and where this is all going. I mean, that's what we're here for, is to think and to learn. And it's all, okay. So if you're a student and you're thinking about things, you're like, well, they're not talking about this or that. It's okay for us to have those conversations, but not now because it's time for a break.